The market continues to follow our bullish path and now faces its first make or break test. This is Invest with Jacob. Okay, guys, so the market continued to rally higher on Friday, pushing over the 1.0 extension. And while it can still push higher to the 1.236 extension or even higher than that, what we're looking for is a pullback that can hold the pivot. As long as it holds the pivot and then makes a new high, the bulls are in control. However, if that pivot breaks, it's down we go. I'll get into all that in just 1 second. But first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP500 and the Nasdaq. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, so the bulls are facing a make or break test here. When they start a pullback, they will have to test the pivot, and when they do, if they can hold it, it's very bullish. So let's jump into the charts and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 30-minute futures chart for the S&P 500, and really today is very cut and dry. Remember, we're tracking our 1-2 count off of the lows from January 24th. So from there, we had our wave 1 up and our wave 2 down, and we have a pretty bullish structure moving to the upside as we speak. However, there is also the potential for an ABC. So as we're tracking this higher, when it reaches its peak and starts to pull back, that will be very important. So we have pushed over the 1.0 extension, which is a requirement. Once we've got past that, anywhere from here, okay, and up, it can start a pullback. Now it's pulling back a little here, retesting the 1.0 extension, but that's not enough for us to matter. It's going to come back and test the pivot. Okay, and we're looking for the pivot to hold from a bullish stance. So again, this can continue to push higher up to the 1.236, which is at 45.1675, even the 1.382 if they really want to push it, which is at 45.6250. But I imagine in between this 1.0 and 1.236, we will see a top and then the start to a pullback. The pullback, okay, one, we want it to be a three-wave structure, so we want an ABC down instead of an impulsive structure, which would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So we want it to be an ABC structure that comes into the pivot here where I have this make or break box. And remember, okay, the pivot is the 0.618 extension and the 0.764 extension of this wave 1 and this wave 2. So you draw your line up to the top of wave 1 and down to the bottom of wave 2 using your trend-based fib extension tool. And you get these numbers here, and the 618 and 764 is the pivot. Once it pushes above that, it's a strong indication that we're in a wave 3, okay? And then when it comes back to test it, as long as the pivot holds and then they push higher, it's a very strong indication for the bulls that we will continue this rally and movement higher. However, if they pull back to this pivot, okay, and break the low, which is at 43.2325, okay, if they pull back to the pivot and break the low, then it's very likely that this move up was a C wave and a failed breakout attempt, and we'll see wave 5 down to make a lower low in that 4,000 area. So again, they can push it up to the 45.16, which is the 1.236, and even up to the 1.382, as I said, which is the 45.62 area. They can extend these wave 3s, so doesn't have to pull back from where it's at. If you see it start to pull back from where it topped right here just above the 1.0, then we would expect it to test closer to the bottom of the pivot. However, if they do find a rally here in the overnights up towards this 1.236 at 45.16, then we would expect them to come back and test the top of the pivot. And if the top of the pivot breaks this 43.69 area after touching the 1.236, it's not a failure, but it is a warning because you would expect that level to hold. Okay, so again, if they push it up to the 1.236, we would expect the 764 to be where they hold the pivot, and our wave 4 of 3 comes in there. So if you see the 764 break, that is a warning sign that the move up may have failed. But that's only if we push all the way up to the 1.236 or higher. So what we're looking at is to figure out where this wave 3 of 3 here is going to top. And remember, we have the big wave 2 down here in the red circle, okay? And then you have this black wave 1, this black wave 2, this black wave 3 of this round circle 3 up here. And then you have the black wave 4 and black wave 5 up that would complete the bigger wave 3. So right now we're counting the smaller Roman numeral 3 of this bigger circle 3. So when I say 3 of 3, I mean this little 3 of this big 3, if that makes sense. All right, so pretty cut and dry. We're looking for a top at some point here on this move up, whether it's the 1, 2, 3, 6 or somewhere in between, or if it already topped and this pullback continues, and then we're looking for a test of the pivot. Okay, the higher it pushes, the higher we should expect the pivot to hold. So the 1, 2, 3, 6, we should expect to hold the 7, 6, 4 side of the pivot. And if it pulls back from here, we should expect the middle to bottom of the pivot to be where it tests. So ultimately, they need to break the 618 for this to be a failure, which is the 43.23. Okay, but if they do push it up higher to the 1, 2, 3, 6 and come back and break the 7, 6, 4, then that is a little bit of a warning that the move up may have failed. So just to summarize that really quickly and make it as clean and easy as possible, okay, overall big picture, we're looking for a top in this area if it hasn't already topped, and then a test of the pivot. And the pivot needs to hold, and then we need to come back up and take out wherever this top is, okay? If it doesn't hold the pivot, then we're looking down. So over on the Nasdaq, it seems to have caught up pretty quickly. We talked last week about the potential for this lower high to be wave 1 here right before the Fed announcement, and this low to be wave 2, and then we're starting wave 3 up, and that kind of looks like it's the case for now. They have pushed up over the 1.0 extension at 14,385. And again, they can continue to push higher up towards this 14,601 or even as high as 14,735 area to complete this wave 3 of 3. And then we would look for a test of the Nasdaq pivot, which comes in at 14,168.75 down to 14,034.75. And we would look for that to hold. Okay, and then a push back up over wherever this top is. So if they continue to push it higher again to the 1,236, we would expect the 764 to hold at the 14,168 level. But if they start to pull back from here, we would expect them to get to the middle to bottom of the pivot box. So just like on the ES, the pivot box is our make or break. We're looking for a top in here somewhere, whether it's the 1.0 or the 1,236, and then a pullback to test the pivot. As long as the pivot holds, we look higher. But if we break the bottom of the pivot at 14,034, and we would be looking lower at that point. Guys, if you like the information that I put out on these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, including all my buy and sell alerts, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. It will take you right over there. But head on over to investwithjacob.com and check out our membership plans area. We have 2 amazing plans that both come with a 7-day free trial because I want you to come in and check it out and test drive it to make sure you love it before you ever spend a penny. Okay? We have 2 different rooms. My room is the Invest with Jacob room, where you get all of my real-time market updates. You get my buy and sell alerts, as well as I answer all of your Elliott Wave questions. Now, I do only trade the SPY and the QQQ, so if you're looking for individual stocks as well as a trading style that is crushing the market, guys, go check out my last couple of videos in the testimonials, as well as the testimonials down here at the bottom. We are absolutely crushing it in PT's room, so come check it out. You get a 7-day free trial in there as well. Okay, and he trades individual stocks as well as the indexes, and you get everything in my room. So if you take PT's room, you get everything in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as our reduced risk trading style using binary methods, as well as access to the mind of a man who trades the stock market better than anybody I've ever seen. So come on over, guys. Take your 7-day free trial. Make sure you love it, and let's make some money together. All right, guys, key takeaways for today, very simple. Looking for a top in this move up and then a pullback to test the pivot. As long as the pivot holds on the ES at 43.2325, and then we move higher and take out this high, wherever that happens to be. Okay, that's a very strong indication for the bulls. However, if 43.2325 breaks to the bottom side, then we should expect a failed move up and probably a move down to lower lows. Same kind of setup on the Nasdaq. Looking for a topping area here between the 1.0 and the 1,382. Generally, the 1,236 is the most common target at 14,601. However, by breaking the 1.0, it has moved up high enough. So wherever it pulls back from, we need this pivot to hold. Okay, 14,034.75 is our bottom of our pivot that must hold. And then look for a bounce back up that takes out this high. And that is another very strong indication for the bulls on the Nasdaq. All right, guys, that is the market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.